Okay, thank you, Jake, for joining us. We're doing Ignite Elemental 6 Make and Receive Offers. All right, so we're just going to jump right in and get started. I'll pull up my PowerPoint and share my screen with you. Where's my, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I can't accept. Sorry, Janet, can't help you right now. All right. So here we are at Ignite. All right. So this falls into the running our business portion, right? So we do some of them and they were like growing our business like we did with open houses. That's what that's for. But now when we're getting those offers, now it's running our business. So what we're going to do is halfway through, we're going to switch to the seller's view and what that looks like. But we can definitely do, ask me questions if you have anything as we're going through. I emailed you the participation guide, a MAR 501 offer form, the mandatory disclosure, and also the disclosure for lead paint. I just wanted to send that to you to get familiar with it, and just know that every time you send that to a buyer, you want to make sure you include the full thing, not just the last page that they have to initial and sign. You want to make sure you send them the whole thing, even if it's not included in MLS. So let's say the listing agent only has that 11th page where everyone's initialing and signing. Just ensure that you send your client the full disclosure so that they can read it all.
Okay.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in trouble for that stuff. All right. So the offer process. One of the best things to do is when you're working with a buyer is prep them when you do your buyer's consultation. I know we talked about that a few weeks ago, but letting them know what it looks like, that this is maybe introducing them to the form, you're going to make sure you sign that mandatory disclosure. Just get them familiar with the process. Like when we see homes, we're going to make an offer based upon what the home looks like. Just getting them an idea of what that process is going to be. You're also going to do it as you're showing them houses, right? Let's say you see a house and, maybe a tree's falling out back, or, maybe they don't like the paint and they're like, oh, can we negotiate that? So through this whole process, you want to educate them on the things that are negotiable and aren't negotiable. That's kind of a big key, because I know that always falls into the category of, oops. I should have explained that. Also, let's go right into it. So first, buyers find that home, right? They love it. Now you've set the expectations, right? Know that we're going to make the offer based upon the condition of the house, right? If it's got green carpet and it's, the paint is gross, things that are just like, yeah, an outdated kitchen, your offer is going to reflect that condition. Okay. And then through a home inspection is where you're going to find those latent discrepancies that we just don't know about, right? Like the roof, and maybe the heating system hasn't been serviced in 10 years, things like that, things that you're not going to notice. So having that expectation up front is really important to get them to think about. I've had quite a few buyers that are like, oh, well, now that they've accepted the offer, we can, negotiate this. No, that's not how that works. Okay.
Okay.
So we walk through the house. They love everything. It's great. We come up with, a good offer price. And the three things can happen, like it shows right here, right? the best scenario is that the offer gets accepted straight away, right? And
Mhm.
then you begin the contract process. You do your home inspection, you go to PNS, you make that second deposit, you go through the mortgage stuff, the appraisal gets done, and then you go to close. That's in a dream world, right? Um, Most times we have counter offers. So that would look like a counter offer could be based upon um, dates. It could be the price. It could be deposit money. Maybe they want to see more deposit at purchase and sales, or even with the offer sometimes. Um, so that's where the counter would be. Now, counter offers can be done written, but most times when a seller agent and a buyer agent are negotiating this, it's pretty much verbal, because you're just going back and forth with a phone call, or maybe an email. And because maybe seller's out of town and it has to wait until in the morning, or something of that nature. But most times it's verbal, and you're working it out through the evening, or an afternoon, um, which is okay. But in the end, you want to make sure that all of those counter offers are in writing and are the right way. So going over them with your buyer as you're going through, and making them aware of what's that. So when you get the counter offer, the original offer no longer exists. Okay.
Right.
So that you have to keep in mind. So if they say, well, why didn't they accept? Well, this is the new offer. So they have the option to walk away, right?
Mhm.
Um, and also know that we do this every day. Not you yet, but you're learning it. Your mind is in real estate. So
Yeah.
it's easy for you to go, this is normal. Whereas all of this for them is emotional, right?
Yeah.
And when emotions are running high and there's a lot of anxiety or even excitement around it, um, they might get antsy, right? And they might, so the best thing to do is um, guiding them through this and saying, that's okay. This happens all the time. It's just, this is the process. Lessening that anxiety for them is key, because once they get onto that emotional roller coaster of whether it's the anxiety, or they're getting nervous or cold feet, um, letting them know that it's okay. Every buyer goes through it. That's why I'm here with you. I'm here for you to do through the whole thing, and make this not as scary as it feels for you, is really key. Um, so being calm, matter of fact, and reassuring them that this is how negotiation works, it really, really helps. Um, let's see. We also have, like, in our Kelly app, right, that we
Mhm.
have the little steps, so we can offer that to them too. And
Oh, yeah.
so we can say, hey, here's where we are, and they have that visual. Sometimes that helps, depending on the buyer. um, and today we're not going to cover like the negotiation part, just
Mhm.
what it looks like to make the offer and like receive an offer.
Oh,
We
okay.
have the negotiate the deal, I think, is our next one.
Yeah.
All right. um, and then rejecting the offer straight up, right? That kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But that could be because you're like so way off, right?
Yeah.
So, and I've had that happen to me where I'm like, all right, and I call the seller. I'm like, seller, seller agent, I'm really sorry. I know it's like 65 below your offer, I mean your list price, but I wrote it up. Is there any feedback I can give them? Um, I might be able to get them to a better number. What could I bring back? So sometimes no isn't really no. Maybe you know there's something that was missing. But we have to submit the offer that our buyers want,
Yeah.
sometimes against our you know our judgment and our professional guidance, we still have to do that. So it can get tricky. All right. Preparing the offer. Now, this is the fun part, right? What do you think you need? So this is good, right? So what do you think you need before you're able to write that offer?
You need, don't you need a deposit, right?
Deposit, but even before we even get there.
Um, well, you need to talk to your buyer and see, uh, how much is, realistically, you should put for in the offer,
Mm-hmm.
so
Right,
that conversation.
right. And you want to get their pre-approval letter,
Yeah. Yep.
right? Calling up Steve. Steve, we're ready to make an offer. I need that pre-approval. Come on, buddy. I need it in my hand so it's easy for us to do. That's really important. Another thing that is good to do is doing a CMA, a little CMA, not like the big one that you do for a listing presentation, but where you give them a range. So whether it's, we have that discussion, right there, and we're pulling it up on our phone real quick about like what sold in the past couple months, and what the actual, price range that it could go in, right? So making sure that it's a realistic, offer amount. Make sure that they have access to the tax information, right?
Right.
Because that's going to help them know what their mortgage amount is. So some buyers, they're like, oh, well, I need to know what my mortgage is going to be before we make an offer. So when you first get them as your clients and you've introduced them to a lender, and if the lender's a buddy, like we have Steve, hopefully you say, Steve, look, we're going to see houses this weekend. Are you going to be available? There's a chance that we might make an offer. And I know that they're going to want to know what their mortgage is going to be if we make an offer on one of these houses. Are you available? So you make that, yes, no problem, all available, just let me know. So what you do then is you give them that tax information, right? Their offer amount, and Steve does all of his little computer mumbo jumbo stuff, his magic. And then with closing costs and down payments and everything, he tells them, this is what this scenario is going to look like for this particular house. So that's why it's good to know that tax information. And if you look in MLS, that'll be there in the listing document.
Right. Right.
So that's good to have. I don't know why the rest of that isn't coming up.
I'm late.
That's okay, dear. No problem. So the checklist is on page 3 of the participation guide. So let's see, I will pull that up for us so we can look at the rest of them. Is it? Page 3. 4. That's not it. Well, I don't see it. What other things can you think of that you'll need? So we need the pre-approval. We need to have a good relationship with the lender.
Yep.
Yep.
CMA.
Yep. Do a quick CMA. Know how much
CMA.
money too that they're willing to put down with the offer. Right now the market is starting to get really crazy, right, Daniela? You're seeing your open house on Sunday was crazy busy.
Crazy.
You got 4 offers on it?
3 offers, 2 offers came into last night. Another one is coming in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then way above the asking price.
Right.
Wow.
So you have to be like, this is a very weird time. We weren't expecting these things, right? But
No.
we're coming into our spring market really late because of COVID. So getting them prepared to say that typically, yes, an earnest amount in for an offer is 1,000, but to be competitive, think about offering more, 1,500, 2,000,
Mm,
and explaining that that $2,000 is getting put into a bank account that you use later for your down payment. Okay. And
right.
so you add those two together between that and the purchase and sales amount, and that is just held for later on. So do you think you'll be okay having that, money set aside to make a stronger offer? So
Mhm.
these are all little ways to help you get your offer accepted as a buyer. Um, and that's just stuff you learn. Also, like moving the dates, shifting them up a little bit more. So maybe instead of doing a home inspection in 10 days, you knock it down to 7. And instead of the purchase and sales agreement 14 days after the accepted offer, maybe you do it at 10.
Mhm.
Right? So you're saying to the seller, look, we are extremely prepared for this. We're ready to go and we're serious. Maybe the lender's good, like, yeah, guys, I got all of their documents. I don't have to worry about anything. So I'm okay with a 30-day closing, even with this COVID stuff with your buyers, because they're that well off. So things like that would make your offer stronger to a potential seller. So food for thought there. Um, Also talking to your buyers, do you have a lease to get out of? Right? That's
Mhm.
important. Yes, I have to give my, landlord 2 months notice. Okay, well, that plays a factor. And yeah, we can have a 30-day closing, but are you okay to pay rent while you're moving? Are you able to carry both of those? Like, so having that conversation with them is important. Um, and the other thing is, I think it says financing terms. So make sure that they understand that, right? That it's an FHA loan, what that means. If it's a conventional loan, what does that mean? And if you need help explaining that, having the conversation maybe with everybody involved with the lender, right? So you can hear what the lender's telling them, and then you can reassure them by using the same words that the lender uses later on, because they're always going to have those follow-up questions because they forgot something, because it's, between the anxiety and the emotions of, oh my God, I'm buying, a $250,000 house even, is there, it's crazy for them.
Yeah.
So having that stuff available. Um, I know that there are some checklists that we used to have. I will send that. I'll look for checklists for a buyer.
I need that.
Yeah. So it just gives them idea of what they need, what to expect. But then also like our Kelly app, right? It's supposed to also help with knowing what steps are coming next. All right. So next, writing the offer. Writing the offer. This is always fun. Okay. Throughout this process, showing homes to your buyers, hopefully you're continuing to have that conversation of, you're looking within their price range, you're not going way over. They understand that the physical condition of the house is what we're making an offer on. You can't make the requests after the offer is accepted to negotiate, the new carpets just because you think they're ugly, or an allowance for paint because you don't like the color. So getting them prepared for that. So you're doing the price and terms based upon those items. If there's a seller's disclosure, you're going to sit down with them too, and you're going to, go through it and tell them everything that the seller does. Now, a seller's disclosure, some listing agents like to use them, some are hesitant. I personally don't, because I use it as a guideline for myself, for them to have an idea of what the condition of the house is, but I don't post it. I just do it for my knowledge. I put things in there if I know that it's, a new electric system. I'll put in the listing remarks that, new electrical system was installed in 2018, roof was installed in 2015, so that there's an idea of the age, and I just put it in the remarks when I post the listing. I think that's better than doing a seller's disclosure. There's been instances where this happened even in our office, and hopefully I get the story right. It was an agent in our office who, it was I think it was her parents' house, and she didn't know that there was a oil tank under the ground. And so in the seller's disclosure, there's a specific thing that asks, do you know of an oil tank, and is it in the ground? And she checked off no. Well, there ended up being one, and then there ended up being an issue. So, and that was in her family. So I feel it's, if you really, really don't know, then it's always, I don't know. But I just find it better to not do it at all. I just use it as a guideline to get information about the house that I can later share. That's how I use it. But everybody has their own way.
Okay.
Again, we talked about earnest money, like what is it, what would be acceptable for them as the buyers to put down, and what does that look like? Letting them know that, yes, that deposit does come back if you find something during the home inspection criteria that you're not happy with. And the home inspection criteria also involves a neighborhood search. If they, do the police blog, or, they find something out. It includes the school systems. It includes the house condition. The whole inspection really is their time to do their homework. I hope, though, that through the showing process that you have these conversations with them, so that isn't a reason why they want to back out of an offer because they just now found something that they didn't like. So having the conversations with them as you're looking at homes, say, hey, here are some websites for you to go to for, the town, if this is, something that's important to you. Here's a list of the school department, see if these schools are good for you, like letting them do that homework. So if you're looking in these areas, they're already aware, instead of waiting for that time that your offer is accepted, right? So having those preemptive conversations saves you from headaches down the road. And I've had those. Time. Okay. So here we do, here we give them a deadline, right? Typically it's 24 hours. Unless otherwise stated, right? So if I'm writing an offer, I'll give them, even if it's tonight, I'll give them until tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right? To get back to me. I think that that's fair enough. If you have the, all offers due by 5 o'clock tonight and seller will review, and then that's the conversation you need to have with the listing agent and say, if you're going to make a decision, when do you want this offer to expire? When do you plan on making that decision? And you could get back, well, they're out of town, so I'm not going to be able to present them until, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to need a few hours. So, okay, then you may have to go into the next morning. Right. So having a good communication with the seller's agent is really important there too. Other things that I've done is I've called the seller agent and said, hey, This is Nina from Keller Williams. Um, I took my clients to see the open house this weekend and they loved it. And we're going to be sending in an offer. Can you tell me a little bit about what's important to the sellers? A closing date, maybe they, what did I say? Closing, maybe it's they have a home sale contingency. Are they accepting home sale contingencies? Do they have to find a home like before they can move? Like what works, right? So maybe they needed to find suitable housing. Okay, so do they have something under agreement? Great. What's that date? And now you made that match for them. So you took away that worrisome piece, right?
Right.
So finding all the details that will make your offer strong to a to a seller is also a good best practice, I think. And then you get an idea of where the seller's head's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can, there's also, you can write, sometimes agents will have a cover letter that goes with it. Mine, I don't have a cover letter. What I do is in my email, I say, you know, hi, hey, Jake, this is Nina from Keller Williams. My buyers, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You know, I'm presenting an offer for Mr. and Mrs. Smith on 123 Main Street. Please let me know if you have any questions and acknowledge receipt because I want to make sure that they got it. I don't want to have to call. So, and that's kind of like all I do. I don't do anything more in depth than that. But some people do, but I'm kind of I just like to be cut and dry. Sometimes I don't think fluff is needed, especially in the beginning, just to get it in. But you could do it however you like. Some people will write a nice full cover letter. You know, they're excited about this neighborhood or something like that. Or you can have them write a letter themselves, which I've done, and my offer has been accepted based upon that, even though we had a lower offer. So it depends on the seller, right?
Right.
If you have a flip, well, the flip isn't emotional, right? It's all numbers.
Yeah.
But if you have a seller who raised their family there for the past 35 years and, you know, they have a volleyball court out there and, or, you know, the pool was full of kids every single summer and now they're so sad. But now you have the ability to say, we have a young couple, you know, they write a letter. We just started our family. I can't wait to have our summers, you know, by the pool, and, you know, the yard is great for them to play soccer. Something like that could pull at the heartstrings of a seller and maybe win your offer.
Right.
So having a good rapport with the listing agent is very important. So I'm nice to everybody, but I make it a point mentally to go, I want to work with this person and I want them to know that I'm going to be okay. I'm not, you know, I'm a reasonable person. So I just try to be a little extra kind and understanding. So that's how I do that. So there we go. We just talked about that. Earnest money, financing terms, okay. And then when we have, hopefully we've created an opportunity. So this is other stuff that we can do, but I know through other classes that we've already created an opportunity and we know what that looks like. And then we go through the offers tab in Command and put in all of our information. All right. And, oh, here's the cover letters. So that's what I was getting ahead of myself. Look at that. So if I was an agent, maybe that's something that I would do. I always do, like, I look forward to working with you. That is something I do put in there. I don't know, I consider it like a little mental thing. Like we're already working together. So I look forward for this transaction going smoothly or something like that. It's I don't know. So you could do it that way. Let's see. All right. So what kind of objections do you think we can come across with buyers and offers?
Wait, from the buyer's side or from like the
Buyers.
sellers? Oh, from the buyers.
Mhm.
Maybe they want a lowball.
That's a good one.
I get that one.
Yep, that's a good one. Repairs,
repair.
right?
Yeah.
That's always a thing. Which again, I know I keep going back to it, but it's really, really important to let them know that, you know, knowing that there's knob and tube in the house doesn't mean you can ask them to take all the knob and tube out
Yeah.
prior to closing. Okay. We
Yeah.
know this condition walking in. Okay. So you can't ask them to get rid of it unless it says somewhere in MLS or in a disclosure saying that they plan on getting rid of it. So know that you're purchasing a house that has knob and tube because we live in New England and it was built in 1900 and hasn't been touched since.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, some things we have to keep them realistic on. What other objections? That's really like one of the big ones. Oops. And very low offers. So repairs and low offers are like the two really big ones. So let's say I'm your buyer, Jacob, and we
Okay.
walk into a house. It's been recently flipped.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And the list price is $350, but you went to the open house, right? And now we're writing an offer because they're due tonight, right?
Right.
And it's listed at $350 and I'm your buyer. And I go, you know what? It really wasn't all that great. I want to offer 300.
Okay.
So what do you say? How do we walk through that? How do we walk through that objection?
Well, let's see. Well, I would explain to them that since it's a flip, it pretty much would be move-in ready.
Mm-hmm.
Everything would be up to date. There would be no renovations to be done. Also, if I did a CMA of a quick one of the house beforehand, I would, hopefully that it would fall within that price range, and I would be able to bring it up to them as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving them evidence that something is worth whatever it is, or showing them proof of something really helps with what you've started to explain to them. Sometimes just saying, that's just a low offer. I don't think that they're going to accept that because of the market doesn't do that. Well, what do you mean the market doesn't show that? Well, it doesn't show that because look, here's the CMA I pulled of the neighborhood and what sold in the past 3 months. And, your offer of 300 is way below anything that's already sold prior to this one coming on the market. So, and another thing to point out is, we went to the open house this weekend and there was 15 people standing outside waiting to go see the house. And the listing agent said that she has 3 offers in her hand already and is expecting 2 more. So your offer of 300 isn't going to get looked at.
Right.
And then hopefully that registers and like, oh, but on the other side of that coin is some buyers need to feel that sting of not getting an offer a few times before they realize that what you're trying to explain to them is really true.
Right.
Which is exhausting for us because we've written several offers and they're not getting accepted because of their lowball offer. And right now, to come in low ball on a new listing that's just flipped is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
However, if we're talking about a home that's been on the market for a while, then we have room to play,
Hmm.
right? We can say, all right, 350, but it's been on the market for 2 months. Nothing's happened. Now you've done your CMA. Now maybe it's priced about $20,000 too high, you've noticed. So
Yeah.
you're like, maybe we can come in at 315 and see what happens instead of 350, right?
Yeah.
So, you play around with those numbers and things like that. So, but the repairs, that's what always gets me.
Yeah.
It always does. But and I dealt with a lot of buyers before I started listing houses. So that was something that I learned very, very quickly, is get them to notice things now before we make that offer. And setting that expectation that what you see is what you're paying for. Latent discrepancies that we cannot see, that we find in a home inspection, is what we negotiate, right? The
Yeah.
mold that was in the eaves of the attic, the mice that was found in the crawl space in the basement, maybe there were termites, things like that now are our negotiating items, not the missing outlet. You know, and some things maybe aren't just worth it either. Like if an outlet isn't grounded, sometimes that's not sometimes, all the times that's an easy fix,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not worth having that disagreement over for something that cost you $5.
Right. Yeah.
Done that too.
Yeah.
All right, so presenting the offer. So it's always going to go buyer's agent to the listing agent, right? You call the listing agent just like I did before. Hi, Jake, it's Nina. I'm sending you an offer for 123 Main Street. Is okay tomorrow by 5 a good deadline to hear back from you and the sellers? Yes, great, perfect. So then we go through DocuSign, we fill it all out with the right dates, and have our people sign it, and then we send it off. So any questions on the buy side?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. So this is where we turn the table and now we go, all right, now I'm the seller. So on the seller side, I'm going to present the offer to my client. What does that look like? Miss Daniela, you should tell us what that looks like with your multiple offer situation. How did that feel?
Oh, boy.
Tell us about it.
It's overwhelmed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So called you, and do you want me to tell like the whole process?
Well, no, just like what it was like. So you receiving offers, maybe some of the conversations you've had with the buyer's agents, like something
I
like that.
kind of had the feeling already that they were going to put an offer, but you can tell like more or less. So they reached out to me and said, we're going to put an offer tonight. And this is, then you should receive them right now or in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The other one of the other offers is like they're waiting on, they put an offer, but they didn't have their pre-approval. She's like, I'm not sending until I have the pre-approval. She ended up sending anyway because they had no problem login, but they're, they had it already. And this other offer is, they're waiting for pre-approval and it's not getting done yet, so.
Okay.
But they have the offer, not the pre-approval.
And this is why on the buy side, as a buyer's agent, you get all of that prior,
Yep.
right? Like if you know you're going to see houses over the weekend, you tell them, I need to make sure we have the pre-approval. You have your mandatory disclosure signed. So the only thing that you're waiting to do is to fill in the offer and send everything out as a little.
Yes, I told her, well, how can you show the house and don't have those people pre-approval? She's like, oh, I thought it was gonna be easy for them to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a deadline.
Okay. So now that she has these 3 offers, right? Her deadline's 5 o'clock today. Then she's going to sit down with her seller and they're going to go over every offer. These are the timelines. This is when these people can close. You're listing them all out. Highlight those little areas, right? This is when they close. This is how much they're financing. This is the type of loan they have. This is how much money that they're putting down in escrow. So showing them all of that and going through all the additional terms. Some things to include, and now I'm flipping back over to the buy side, I'm sorry. But I even like to see this on the offers that come to me to say, you know, to include whatever appliances are with the home, subject to a mutually agreed upon purchase and sales agreement, home to appraise at or above offer price. If there's a septic system, for it to say, subject to a
Title
passing
V.
Title V. If it's a condo, subject to satisfactory review of rules, regulations, and financial documents. So all of those things.
All that stuff.
Yeah. So all of those things, you know, you want to have in the offer. And as a listing agent, I want to see those in there too. I'm not going to go back to a buyer though and go to a buyer's agent and go, so you don't want a passing Title V? You know, like I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do the buyer's agent homework for them, but I'm a very honest and caring listing agent. So I'm going to make sure that that happens. But that's how you're going to present the offers to your seller. Then you pick one and you negotiate the heck out of it until you can get the best offer for your client, right?
Yeah, all day long.
All day long. So that's what that looks like. And then this shows you right here. So you receive the offers, you gather all the information about the buyers, you present them, and then you respond. And in your situation too, you had escalation clauses that you had to kind of negotiate through. Do you know what an escalation clause is, Jake?
No.
Okay. So an escalation clause is when a buyer says, gives you an offer, let's just numbers, $360,000 with $2,500 increments up to, let's say, $400,000. So it'll say, buyer, how did she word it? You do it. She said it somewhere good.
Buyer is up to pay $2,500 into an escalation clause into 405.
So what's,
they're beating up in between each other who puts an offer, so they have to go back and forth, back and forth. So let's say Jake put an offer $365. The other client said, I'll put another $2,500 on.
Oh, okay.
So Nina said, I'll put $367,500, and he can only go 2,000. So it's gonna be until they reach their total amount.
Oh, okay. So it's like a battle all the way up until they reach their limit. Okay.
yes.
That was my day today.
Yeah.
Yes. So we had the conversation of when that happens and I'm listing the house, right? So just like Daniela, I want to go back to the agents and say, look, this is a multiple offer situation. I understand your clients really want the home. It's a great home. I need your best and final because I want a solid number to go with, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes it's hard to get the other person on the other line to say that. And they're like, no, 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 still escalation clause. I'll pay $2,500 over still. But sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But that can be kind of hard when you're in a multiple offer situation. If you only have like 2, then it's kind of easy. But when you're the like 3 and 4 and 5, I had that once where I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, no, you just need to give me a solid number because my mind can't compute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you really want me to negotiate all of those offers to their highest amount and then come back to you? Or do
Yeah.
you want to just give me your absolute best? If 405 is what they're willing to pay for that house,
And
then
just
write me the
offer
offer for 405,
it. Right.
right? And
Yeah.
then put in there subject to praise at or above offer
Yeah.
price. If you find that that may not appraise, then you're set, right? You're set anyway, in my opinion, but I like to put it in there.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes. So it's always fun on the other side. We already did. Huh?
It is fun.
It is. It's, you get nervous, but I think it's a fun nervous because
It's because you want the best for your client, so you want to do that,
yes. And then everything that we talked about, reviewing the offer, making sure that the correct house is on the offer. That has happened. I don't know how you can give me an offer with the wrong house address, but okay.
Uh-oh.
Price, obviously, that's gonna be something. Earnest money, just like we said, the more that you put down, the better it looks. My rule of thumb when I am with a buyer is 3 to 5%. I try to get them at least 3% by purchase and sales because I know not everybody has a lot of money, but most loans are 3.5% down payment. So if they have that money in the bank account anyway, then I think they should use that as their earnest money, as their deposit money. Make sure too, you talk to your buyers whether or not they need help with closing costs too. That's the other thing. Definitely make sure that that's in the offer if they need it, because you can't go back. So just know that.
Mhm.
Time for acceptance. We went over that. Make sure, and on a seller side, so it's okay for you as a selling agent to call the lender and say, hi, Steve, this is Nina. We have a mutual client. Your client so-and-so is putting an offer on my house. How do you feel about them? Do they have all the documents to you? Are they underwritten? What is your feeling? If you get, well, I've been asking for documents. Sometimes some loan agents will give you a lot more information than they probably should. But hey, nope, they're strong, Nina, no problem. I'm ready to rock and roll. I can even do a 30-day closing. Like, ooh, sweet. So it's okay to do that. You're not asking for financial information, but you just want to make sure that you have the right pre-approval letter, that this person really exists, and that they're good to go. You don't want any surprises. So yeah, we talked about that, right? We already going to sit down with them. We're going to make sure our CMA is still spot on. We're going to present the offers and then give them a decision. And then you respond. Yes, no, maybe so. And then there you go. That's how you receive and accept offers.
Nice.
So what do you think? So now that Miss Danielle is in the midst of it, how do you feel?
Yeah,
Good.
I have to print out everything and go meet with her because she doesn't do DocSign. So.
Oh, that's okay. She sounds like a very sweet person.
She is.
Yeah. And then, so Jake mentioned this morning that he has a buyer who's ready to go and pre-approved. So this just fit right in perfectly. Any questions on any of it?
No.
No, pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
And I know that we've already gone over offer letters and what that looks like. So, but I still sent them to you so you can still get, familiar with them.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how we write an offer and then we accept one. And then our next class, so I'm doing classes twice this week, twice next week, and then because we only have 5 more classes left and I wanted to get them done before the end of the month. So
Yeah.
Thursday we have another class, then Monday, Thursday, and then Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So we're just
Okay.
going to get them over with so we can jump into our summer and not have to do Bold or Ignite. We just go right into helping our clients.
Yep.
That's
Thank
what
you
we
so
wanna
much,
do.
Nina.
You are so welcome, guys. And again, you have my cell phone number. Call me anytime you have any questions, especially now, Mr. Jacob, that you're going to be out there running around with your person.
Yep.
Just give me a buzz.
All right.
Don't be scared to call. Just do it. And no questions are stupid questions. So it's
No
like,
questions.
Yeah.
You know,
just call all the time. If you have a question, just call. It's so much better to have
Oh
the
yeah.
right answer for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys for coming. I'm glad it was you because this is great. You're in the middle of it. You're starting yours, Jake. So it was a good class for you guys to be in. Oh, I love it.
Yes, I know. I couldn't miss it. I was like, oh my God, there's 4 something. I gotta go.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
It'll be recorded too. But
Good. Thank you, Nina.
thank you
Again.
guys for coming. I appreciate it. And I will see you later.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Jake.